Morning, everybody. We are live. Only 7 minutes late. Look. It's not late. It's still not even 10 o'clock in Hawaii. So uh, we're early somewhere. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, Carson, you're back. Why?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Appreciate you. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, sure.
Today we're gonna write some actual code, and I know just enough Spring to help on that front, or not front. It's that on that back, and then enough HTMX, I reckon, to help get us to the promised land, right? So
We'll see.
all I want to do is I want to write, because we've got some new stuff in Spring that makes working with HTMX, which as we talked about in our we did a podcast a couple weeks ago. Thanks again for that. We talked about in that it's not planning on having a whole bunch of new stuff. It's gonna just this is the right time to buy stock in HTMX, because it's gonna stay exactly the same. So
Yeah.
as good as it's ever gonna
get. The API really hasn't changed much in the 4 years it's been out. So with 2.0, we took a few things out of core and just made them extensions, and then changed a couple of for most people, pretty obscure defaults. But it's been pretty stable because the idea is what it is.
Yeah, it works well. So let me load up chat here. I just realized we're gonna be hacking, so that means my screen's gonna be visible, which means chat needs to be up. And
hey, Thomas.
Oh yeah, people are popping in. By the way,
Thomas is a regular on our Discord. He does a real good job.
He's
helping people out.
Good egg. Let's see. He's a bridge between communities.
For sure.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh no.
Word? All good?
Kind of. A little bit of an echo.
What is that? Let me see. What about now? Still there.
Yeah, very faint. But that's why I always use headphones. Just, I don't know how else to do it.
Aha. That's my old trick. There we go. Nope. Now? Yes. Victory. I hate computers.
I see you too are a man of audio-visual incompetence.
utterly inept. And look, I'm not proud, but these are the truths. These are the facts.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I get it.
My life hack is I actually found these goofy Rhodes mics, which are decent. They're not great, but I all these years I've been doing podcasts and live streams and this, that, and the rest. And the number one complaint, doesn't matter how much production quality I put into the thing, the number one complaint is always the voice sounds bad. And and that was despite having an actual we're on YouTube, Coffee Software, at Coffee Software. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, X, whatever that site, the hell site's called nowadays. We're on there. We're all the place. We're everywhere, like oxygen. So anyway, the people complain about my voice, and it always just sounds bad. And the sound, it doesn't matter what production value I put in there, the editing, the refinement, Premiere Pro and Finesse and all that stuff, or just stream it and hope, from an airport lounge. Or it doesn't matter. The complaints were just consistent. And now I've got these really nice speakers, and people still complain. So it's again, at this point, it's hard not to conclude that they just don't like my voice. And I wish they'd stop bringing it up. Okay.
Oh man.
My screen. Do I have anything sensitive here? Surely not. Okay. Nothing. Okay, let's just do this. What could go wrong? Yeah. There we go. Infinite. All right. Can everybody see everything? Good. All right. So like, first things first for me is we actually have to stand up an app, right? So
yeah,
call it that. We're gonna want to use TimeLeaf and Web and GraalVM, and that's it, I guess. I mean, I just want to there's some new stuff I would love to look at with you. Maybe get your sense of. By the by, I invited our friend Oliver. He might join us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Crossed.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd love to hang out with Oliver.
Oliver's cool.
Is he? Hold on. I feel like good old Oliver. Seen him a lot online. I don't think I've ever talked with him though live. Nah. Anyways. Okay. Code. Sweet. I love code.
Me too. Loading dependencies. Oh no. Stop. No, it's already gone south. Oh, stream canceled. Let me see. Hold on. I used Gradle by accident.
Oh, brutal.
I know.
Gradle. Maven. Not Maven.
Maven. Not because it's better. It's because it's what works for me. Okay. See what happened was, there you go. Maven. Everything else is the same. It's because I opened it up. So this is the initializer, right? You can generate new Java projects with it very quickly. If you select Maven and then refresh, Maven's still selected. If I select Gradle, refresh, Gradle's still selected. You get the idea? But the default is Gradle.
Yeah, Maven's like, I use Maven for my classes just because it just works with IntelliJ.
Yeah, so. And also it works with the latest versions of Java, which is all that really matters to me, because Gradle by definition depends on Kotlin, which in turn depends on the version of Java, and that's 6 months, 3 to 6 months behind. So, okay, take 5. Please don't fail. Yeah, look at that, much faster. I didn't have to load all that Gradle stuff. HTMX application. So first things first. I don't know. This is pretty gnarly, but in the Java community, we have this thing called WebJars.
Yeah, so I know WebJars.
It is, for my simple heart, it works quite well.
Yeah.
So I just add this to the build.
Yep.
Okay. That's that's we did it. We made HTMX happen. We're done. It's already
cool. Good string.
Good string. Yeah. I need a TimeLeaf template. Yeah. So I've got this example code. It's using Gradle. It must have been old. Templates, to-dos. Okay. And in Java, in the Spring Boot world, we have this convention where you store templates in source main resources templates. So hello.html, let's just try that. Paste all that in there. Get rid of all this. I don't want to we should definitely put this in a text file.
Yeah, that looks useful to me.
I don't know. Well, I don't know that it works anymore, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Notes there. Get rid of all this fancy. Look at this. Me doing CSS. Isn't that cute? Yeah. We just want, I want the absolute simplest thing ever. So what do we think simple?
Just a button. Just put a button in there.
Okay. 2.0.4.
Now this is using unpackage rather than WebJars. Do you want to use the WebJar URL?
Yeah,
I don't know how to do that.
Is it WebJars? Something like that.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know what it
Oh.
does.
Nobody knows. And you know what else I forgot to do? I forgot to add the old dev tools. So if we go here, dev tools, copy and paste. What could go wrong? Command Shift I, reload, enter.
This is something that a lot of people don't appreciate about Java is like the dependency system. It can be a little gnarly to set up, but once you have it set up, it's really good.
Yeah, and life hack, just go to start.spring.io and we'll set it up for you. So now you can skip to just working on something. Even if I'm not building a Spring app, which happens never, I just go to start.spring.io. I'll get a Maven or Gradle project that has all the reasonable stuff you'd ever want. I just plug in my dependencies and maybe change the description or something, and off to the races.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we? Okay, WebJars, HTMX, Spring Boot. There we go. This is some rando can help me figure this out.
Let's see. There you go. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Is that?
Yeah.
We're not going to use We're not going to use Hyperscript in this one.
No. What is that?
I'm not talking about Hyperscript right now.
we don't talk about Hyperscript.
No, it'll make you think I'm crazy.
Well, okay. Ship has sailed, sir. That should work. I don't know.
Yeah, that should work. Why not?
Yeah. Wait. We don't have a controller. That's fair. Okay, so hello controller. So for those of you who are just joining, we're first principling HTMX, which is awesome. Hello. So the URL is going to be called. This is a demo. We're just doing a sample here, something that just to try stuff out, and it's the goal here is just to demonstrate stuff. This is not what you would necessarily do in your production code. So just to make this very clear that this never belongs in production, we'll give it a URL that is representative of that. So hello.php. Okay, here we go. Restart that. Go to that. Hello.php. Oh, now I'm hungry for pho. Okay, did that work? Who knows? So if I go here, does that? Nope. Okay, that does not resolve.
How do WebJars work? Nobody knows.
Well, there's a resolver. I should know this. I mean, I don't know anything anymore, but there's a resolver in Spring Boot. Spring Boot WebJars. Do I have to have a dependency? There's a new WebJars resolver light thingamajigger. This is 2014. Probably don't want to read that one.
Oh. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful with the Spring Boot stuff.
That's okay. We'll get there eventually. They changed it. It's nicer. It's better now, but I have to figure out how to use it. So you'll need to update your POM XML to depend on this instead of that. Okay, so if I add this bit right here, which is dependency, WebJars. Okay, come on. That looks nice. So we have this, and that's supposed to be markedly faster in resolution, although it doesn't work. So I mean, dev null is fast. Let's see here. Wait, where's my local host 8080 hello.php? Did that do a thing?
Still got a 404 there. Yeah, there you go. At least you got the jar.
Yeah, and I got the JavaScript.
I've been on a kick lately. Can you, instead of doing min.js, can you just do JS?
Yes, sir. I have the bandwidth. Okay, now I have to figure out, is it Command Shift F9? Hello.
Is this hot reloading?
It should be. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, do I need to set debug as true or something like that? Okay, I've got the restart main there. Okay. So if I
click on that guy, make sure that resolves. Yep. Yeah. So while you're kind of screwing around, I want to talk about minification. I've been on a kick on this lately on Twitter. So there's this tradition in the JavaScript world of minimizing your JavaScript code. And the idea there is, that it can save bandwidth. However, I have been playing around with not minifying my code and instead using something like Brotli, like a very high, even gzip, but Brotli is a little bit better. And it turns out that, so for example, with HTMX, the difference between the minified and unminified source is like 150K versus 50K. But the difference, if you just Brotli them, the difference between the minified and the unminified is only like 18K. So you go from 100K difference down to like 18K. And on modern networks, that's very, very small. So like even on emerging 4G, right, that's like 20 milliseconds basically. And so I think there's a lot of advantages to deploying your code unminified. It's the visibility, like you can debug it very easily. You don't have to ship source maps and all that crap along with your code. And so I think that we should start thinking hard about whether or not we should be minifying our JavaScript, because the advantages of having it unminified, the ability to see what it's doing and debug it and all the rest of it, are I think increasingly compelling compared to the time savings that you get from minification. So, and you don't have to do all that. Like minification is just like another build step, and if you're shipping source maps to make debugging work, that's like another artifact you have to keep track of, and just all this junk that I'm just like, man, it's maybe it's not worth it, especially because for most JavaScript scripts, they should be cached. You should mark them as cached for forever. And so you're talking about like, maybe 20, even, and HTMX is sort of a worst case scenario because it has a lot of JS doc annotations in it. Right. And so, that makes it much bigger in its unminified form. And so even like HTMX, I feel like is like, just run it unminified, because as long as you're using compression, which you should be anyways, and as long as you're using proper HTTP caching, which you should be anyways, like, it's just not, it's a round off error compared to other stuff, and it should be done in parallel with other requests. So
that's you had me at that. Like the unminified form of HTMX is still markedly less than the most minified form of your average React app or whatever, right? So
sure, yeah.
And if we do it correctly, and this is truly the only JavaScript we're ever going to need, then I don't know. You pay that price once, and also it benefits from CDNs, right? Surely, if I pointed this to a CDN on the global internet instead of my own local cache, I'd, even better.
Yeah, on a CDN, it'll be cached forever, and that's the thing. Like the best CDN is the user's machine, and so just like mark the thing as never expiring, and you're good.
Yeah. So programming note, I fixed it. There's a feature called DevTools, and it'll reload templates, but you have to tell IntelliJ about that. And so what I did by accident was I added DevTools after I'd already started up IntelliJ, quit out, deleted IntelliJ's config droppings, and then restarted IntelliJ, and it recognized DevTools, and now it's automatically. So I make a change here, Alt Tab, refresh. There it is. There.
Perfect.
Okay, now we can move quick.
The way web development was supposed to be: say what one will about PHP, but that's the right thing. Hit refresh, see the change.
Yeah. Well, okay, you're right. That's so maybe delicious fall. So we go here. There you go. Hello.
I bet you if you change the mappings, you have to restart, because I bet that's not how I reloaded. You picked like the one thing.
Get full.
I bet.
Just 200. Yeah, okay. Maybe. Wait. Oh, no. Wait, it's because I don't have anything here.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it even that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so like if I do .html, okay, go over here, HTML, that works again.
Nice.
Right? Okay, we're live. I mean, live coding. Okay, I feel like we did the hard part. We got the basic setup good. Shall we reload a thing?
Sure.
Let's do
You want to slap a button? You want to slap a button on there?
You know it. Let me see. Button type equals button. On click, no on click. We don't care about the on click.
Yeah. What are you doing, AI? Stop.
Do I need a value?
Nah, you don't need any of this, but you can.
Oh, how do I
with
make
a button? With a button, you put the text inside of it, so it's not like an input. No. And you actually don't need type button. Yep.
Really?
Oh. Okay, so we got a button. Cool. So let's add some HTMX to it. You want to add some HTMX to it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. HX get.
HX dash get. Or just
HX dash get. Sorry. Equals slash hello.
Okay. Hello.
And HX or let's say HX. Let's just do this for now. We'll go through like all the different things you can do. Okay. So just delete that HX dash there, and then let's add a route for hello.
In the server side. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So is this going to be HTML template, right?
Yeah. Or it can be whatever you want.
Okay.
So can we return just a raw string?
Sure. Yeah. And response body, and then this bit right here produces HTML media type. We don't have to do. I don't know if I need to do this.
Yeah.
HTML value. Yeah, there you go. So that's going to be a little confused. What is it going to do? It's not. We can't return that. Let's try greeting.
Hello world.
Yeah. Hello world. There you go.
Yeah. Put a space in there.
Oh, right. This is actually HTML. Yeah. Okay. Hello world.
Yeah. Just do raw text. No P. No HTML yet.
Okay.
Because what I'm gonna walk you through like what you can do here.
Let's make sure that worked. So that was make up. Stop it. Hello returns that. Does that look right?
Yeah, that looks right. Cool. So if we go back here and now, so we've got a button. Can you blow that button up over in the browser? Like click me. Just zoom in on that, and right click and inspect it, just so people can see what's going on.
You know what we should be doing? Have you ever used Pop?
No.
It's a tool for pair programming. Like I just realized you could be driving my screen live. Next one.
It's all good. Yeah. So so we got our button. It's got an HX get on it, and it says click me, and it's gonna issue. So what this is gonna do is gonna issue a get just like you did in your browser when you went to /hello. Yeah. That issued an HTTP get, and you just get back that text. There's not much to it. And so this is like the simplest possible HTMX thing. A button, and it doesn't have to be a button. You could do this on a div or anything else. But and what you're going to do is when you click on that, it's going to go and issue a get. You can see that it issued a get, and then the response was hello world, that text. And by default, it puts it into the button. Like the default, that's called swapping. And so we get back this text and we put it into the button. So that's like the simplest
it did.
thing.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, I was looking at the console for the network request. Yes.
Yeah. So really simple. That's really simple. So now let's instead of just having HX get, let's add an HX swap attribute.
Can I do HX get on like non-inputable things like a div or something? Or
yeah, absolutely.
I just click on the div, it just does the thing.
Yeah, and that's, some people say, and I agree with them, like that can be bad if, because clickable things, there's accessibility concerns and so forth. So you kind of want to, like, typically if you want something to be clickable, like using a button's a good thing for it. But there are other events that you can use. So, and we'll get to that in a second here. So let's just go through it just to sort of show everybody what you can do with this. Let's do a HX swap. Add the attribute
in
HX swap
button. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. Okay, HX swap equals.
And so the default is inner HTML. Let's use outer HTML like it's suggesting there.
Okay. Do it
Okay,
again.
now go ahead and refresh it and click it. And what you'll notice here is that rather than the hello world being inside the button, it's like it's replaced the button, because instead of updating the inner HTML of that button, which is basically the inside content, it replaces the outside content. So the default is inner content. Some people think that's a mistake, but you can change that. You can say, I want it to be outer HTML. Now let's change that HX swap to after end.
After, wait, say again.
After end, just all lowercase.
After,
like after end.
Oh, like
after
that.
end. Yeah, exactly. And hit refresh. Now you can see it's going to bring the stuff in after the end, and you can do before start. Those are standard terms. There's an API for inserting content in the DOM, and it uses this terminology: before end, after, or before start, after start, before end, after end. And so if you keep clicking that, it's going to keep adding stuff.
So, I'm rich.
Because it's just issuing that request and putting the thing after it. And that's it. So, so that's like getting and swapping. So those are two big ideas in HTMX. Let's add after the button, add an output tag.
After the output.
Yeah, believe it or not, there's a tag called output.
What is this?
And give it an ID. Give it an ID like output's fine. Yeah, that's fine. And I think you have to. I think you have to have a start and end tag. I don't think you can do an empty tag with that. Yeah, cool.
But seriously, what is this? I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, so an output tag. What an output tag is like a lot of these kind of more obscure tags. It acts like a div, but from an accessibility standpoint, that area is marked as being live, and so screen readers will monitor it for changes. And so it's often a good idea to use output tags when you have some dynamic HTML that might change. So now what we're going to do, go ahead,
it shows up in the browser as just a div. I can do stuff with it, but it's meant
to hold like dynamic stuff. And so there's, like, again, this is sort of like accessibility stuff that I'm not an expert in, but output is, if you're going to have an area that's going to change, then you can consider using an output tag for it. So now what we want to do is this button here, let's go up and let's change HX. Let's actually change HX swap to inner. What do we want to do? Let's just do inner HTML for it, which is the default. So we could remove it, but just to keep it there so people know what's going on.
Like that.
Okay, right? Now add a new attribute.
Okay.
Add a new attribute, which is HX target. And use hash output, and that's going to be that's a CSS selector. So the thing with the ID, yeah. And so now what you can see is when you click on it, it's the swap is still the inner HTML, but it's of this other thing. And so if you inspect that element over on the right-hand side, what you can see is that is the output element with that ID. And so here what we're doing is we're saying, okay, issue that request to get, but rather than replacing your own inner HTML, replace the inner HTML of this other thing. Right? And so you could use this, for example, if you have something like a form and you want to add multiple like inputs or something like that, you could use this to get a bunch of them if you wanted to, or just something like that.
Yeah.
So that lets you change the target. And then the last thing we'll do is on button, and I wouldn't recommend this in production code, but let's add one more attribute.
Okay.
And it's going to be HX trigger. And that's going to be equal, and let's set it to mouse enter. Okay, and that's an event that gets triggered. And now when your mouse enters the button, it issues that request. Now that's not a good idea, right? That's not necessarily a good idea for buttons in general. Right. You probably don't want to do it, but what that demonstrates in HTMX is that you can use arbitrary events. You can use arbitrary events. And so, everything doesn't just have to be like form submission and link clicks now. You
Are
can
you
have
publishing these events?
no. These are standard DOM events.
These
So
are
if
this is
you
what
go
you're
to-
listening for. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll work with any event too, not just like this. If you go to MDN, there's like an events like guide that has every single event that can occur. Yeah, so these are all the standard events, but HTMX can listen to custom events too, which is useful. For example, when you're integrating with, I know there's a million of them.
What is a database API? Okay, never mind. Moving on.
Yeah. But this button, as dumb as it is and as pointless as it kind of is, sort of shows you the main concepts of HTMX. Like we're on some event, in this case, mouse ender, we're issuing an HTTP request, a get to /hello, and then we're placing that content somewhere in the DOM, the response content. So inner HTML, the inner HTML of the thing with the ID output. And sort of all of these, except for HX get, have defaults. So HX swap, if you omit it, is going to be inner HTML by default. HX target, if you omit it, is going to be the current thing that you're talking about. And then HX trigger is going to be, for most things, it's click. For forms, it's submit, and then for certain types of inputs, it's change. So those are the default triggers, we call them. So that's really the core of HTMX. There's a few other ideas, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, and so this could be HTML, and if it's HTML, yep, you're going to get an H1 bag.
Are you a I or an EM?
I'm an I and B and center.
Not a strong guy.
Let's go. I'm not strong. Come on, man. I was getting into this on Twitter the other day. Like, I think the center, I don't know. I'm not a purist on this stuff. Like,
I don't know what pure is.
Yeah. I mean, it's HTML. You're already mixing action and markup, like, or whatever. So,
yeah.
I don't know. But
okay, so
I see I know where people are coming from when they talk.
I have no idea. I just
I
learned this before they had B and I. I learned strong and EM.
I know there was a while when you were a bad person if you used B. And my understanding is you're allowed to use it again, which is good.
Okay, it's cool. I won't get like HTML canceled, which is like you're not canceled in real life. It's just
people just look at you funny.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so this is cool.
Yeah.
I don't need I used a button, but that could have been a link, right? That could have just been anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
could have been an anchor tag if you wanted it to. Sure.
How do I prevent it from navigating though?
But I think there's a way in the trigger. Hold on, I'm gonna have to look it up. HTMX.org. Give me 1 second. Reference. Checks trigger. Consume. If in that trigger you put consume. Oh, but you're using mouse enter. So if you want it to work on click. So if you want it to not do anything on click, you're going to need to. It'll still work. It'll do the right thing right now.
Oh, but it's fine.
Yeah, it'll do the right thing right now. But if you want to, like, for example, if you have it on a form and you don't want the form to submit, there's an option for your trigger where you can say consume the event, and then that'll prevent it from
propagating up.
Propagating, and also from here it's not consume. That you have to say click space consume. It's a modifier, so you have to say the event and then consume. Yeah, and that'll
like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So that would be if this were surrounded by, a form.
Yeah, and if this was like a submit, like a button, if you made it a button that would normally submit this thing, it'll prevent that.
So if I get rid of that, then.
Yeah, you make it a button though, because an anchor tag won't submit a form by default.
Right. How do I? Oh, okay. You're saying the consume thing is only if I have a button in a form.
It's only if you have an event that's going to trigger some behavior that you don't want. Right.
Okay. And if we go here.
Yeah.
That reloaded the whole page, didn't it? If I
It might have.
go over here,
Let's look.
reload.
I don't
Okay.
know. Maybe it didn't.
Well, I mean, if I wait, did it? I don't know.
No.
Actually,
It
I have
did
no idea.
not.
What? Oh, it returned just this BEOL hello world. So if I click on it,
Yeah, that's still doing the right thing. So it
it's too good.
must
It's
be
too good, Carson.
that it's too good. Yeah, I don't know what the href thing, and maybe because the form doesn't have an action on it, although that should still submit to the current one. I'd have to look.
We should
Yeah,
get a
see what
404.
that does.
It's
No, there is logic in HTMX where if you trigger an event on it, it's going to consume it if it's in a form. So the consume, though, there are cases where you want to consume the event.
but so for this is idiot proof in so far as I, an idiot, am able to get it working without doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Sweet.
You asked earlier about like what event would we want to have on a div?
Yeah.
Right. Like let's do an example where let's get rid of that button and form and all that.
Okay. We knew you
and
will.
turn it into a div. Yeah. So turn this into like, actually, let's just use an output tag.
So weirded out by this. I've never even heard of this thing before today.
And then here, let's say hx get equals hello, and that's fine. And then let's go to that hello controller.
Okay. Which one? We got two.
HTML. The one, this one up here, the hello HTML guy.
Okay.
And put a thread.sleep in there, like above that return. And sleep for like, 5 seconds.
By the way, friends, always use virtual threads. Always. Okay, very good.
Yeah. Okay, so now what we're emulating here, excuse me, is a slow request. Okay. So if you have this chunk that we're looking at right here in hello HTML, if you have this and it's currently in line as part of your HTML document, so you've got some slow logic that's going to take a while.
Right. And
what you can do is you can say, okay, let's move it out of the main document so that the main document renders, and let's put like a title up above this output that says like, load. Don't put loading there. Put like an H1.
Okay.
H1, just like the best. Yeah. Okay. So normally, what happened there? How come? Oh, because it's going to trigger on click. If you click down below it, I bet it'll load.
Wait.
But you're gonna have to click on the output. It's invisible. Don't worry about it. We'll get this working in a second. Okay. So, but imagine in this output, like normally, like So imagine in this output, like the content of this takes like 5 seconds to load.
Right.
So normally loading this page, if you rendered it in line, would take 5 seconds before you get the HTML back, right?
Does the browser still have just 5 total? Is it still the case you can only do like 5 concurrent HTTP requests?
Well, it's not so much concurrent HTTP requests. It's when you ask for a page and that page just takes a long time to render, right?
Yeah.
Because it's got to go to the database or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
So, like imagine we had this situation where we've got some content that we want on the page and it's taking. Let's make this super concrete. Go back to the controller.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the controller. And make this, can you extract that hello HTML? Actually, you can just right here, can you pass that hello HTML out to the hello template and render it?
Hello HTML out to the hello template. You mean put it in an attribute or something to render in the template?
Yeah. Send it out to that template.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to show like, here's a super slow request, and then we'll make it faster.
Message.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then just invoke that hello HTML method right there.
I have to send this. I have to render this in the template now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Time length attributes HTML. Okay, let me just figure out how to render an attribute. It's in the model. It's in the thing that'll get sent to the client.
Yeah.
I just need.
Sorry, I don't know time length very well.
Yeah, I learn it and then okay, this looks easy enough. Okay, so we'll put that. So this is server side.
So just put it right there in the middle of that output. Yeah, put it in there and get rid of the HX get for now. Yep. Okay, so this is like where we're starting from. Okay.
Couldn't I just do this as an output here? Output.
Yeah, you probably can. But put it back the other way because we're going to put some attributes on it.
Oh, right, like this. Okay, hold on. You want to?
I would go back. Yeah, make this a div and put an output around it because that'll make it a little easier to make the change. Okay. So now what I want you to do, if this works, let's see if it works. Hit refresh, and it should take like a second, right?
That didn't work. Cannot resolve property. Okay. Wait, so what am I doing? This is the hello HTML, adding the model called message.
And is the value, call that get hello or whatever it is, that hello HTML method.
That's right here.
Well, and what I'm saying is down there when you add attribute to the right.
Yeah.
Instead of just passing the string hello out, invoke that function, that hello HTML in there that has the thread.sleep in it.
Well, okay, but it's not working at all. So can I just, let me figure out why that's not working. Okay, it's giving me this business. Let's see. Home.welcome. I would have thought that would have been all I need to do.
Is it just message? Home.welcome? I don't know how
this
works.
I got th text message. So tx, okay. Oh, is this? Oh, these are messages. Right. Okay. I want attributes. I want is it $sign maybe? Like this is internationalization, I guess. But like I want regular, here we go. $sign.
Okay.
Fancy. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now we're cooking.
Now let's go back and replace that string. Just invoke hello HTML there. And what we're doing, can we do that? Why can't we do that? Oh, because it throws an exception. So add the exception to the
computers. Not even once.
And it's Java. Checked exceptions were a mistake. It's fine. That's
huge mistake.
Okay. So now if you hit reload over here.
I did, and it's waiting.
And it's taking, right? Like, unfortunately, it's not showing an indicator, but it's taking a while.
Wait,
it's
is it?
Taking quite a while.
I don't know. Wait, reloading. There you go.
How come that's not showing hello world? Oh, there we go. Okay. So it took a little bit. You see how there was like that pause, right? Awkward. Hit refresh again. Is there any indicator? Browsers have gotten really bad at showing. Yeah. Okay. Watch. If you look at the little spinner, see how it takes a while?
Yeah.
And it's taking a while because we've got this content and it's being escaped, unfortunately, but whatever. Yeah. So exactly. You can see the spinner up there. And the reason it's taking a while, and don't worry about the B stuff, it's fine. Yeah. But what we're simulating here is that we've got some content that takes a while to generate, right?
Yeah.
And we're simulating that with a thread.sleep, but it could be like a database connection or talking to a third-party system or something like that.
Right.
And so now what we're going to do is we're going to use HTMX to lazy load this content, Okay. So let's go. No, just the content that's slow. Okay.
Okay.
Well, so let's go back to the HTML, and let's on this output tag add the following attributes up above there, like right, yeah, at for the output tag, hx get. Oops. Yep. So now we're going to move this content that took a while to generate out to this other URL, right? So maybe this was defined inline or whatever, and we moved it out to a separate URL. And then what we want to do is we want to trigger this on load. When this element loads, we want to issue the secondary request. And so now you can say hx trigger equals load. And then you can remove this div that contains the message right now. Just delete that whole thing. So we're getting rid of it. Okay, get rid of welcome to our grocery store. And in here, type loading ...
You're kidding.
Okay, nope. Now let's go over to our controllers.
Okay.
And let's get rid of this expensive call to hello HTML. We've moved it out to the separate URL.
So no more attribute in the model?
Yeah, we're deleting that. We're not doing the expensive computation anymore. Okay, we're not doing. Instead, what we've done is we've taken that expensive computation and moved it out to the separate URL, and we're going to lazily load that when we load the page. And so now, did you hit refresh? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Now, what happens? What happens is the rest of the page comes back quickly, right? We've moved the expensive computation out to its own URL. The rest of the page loads immediately so that the user can start interacting with the page. If they're not interested in the lazily loaded content, they can click away. So you don't have this like hanging situation. And instead, we move the expensive computation out to this separate thing, to this separate URL, and that lets us lazy load, and it lets the page respond immediately, and that can really improve perceived and performance for users, because now they don't have this like hung browser. They can interact with the stuff around this lazily generated content. And that right now, if you hit refresh again in the browser, we've got loading here, but you could put like a spinning GIF or whatever you want in there to indicate like, hey, something's happening. And so that's another example. Like that's a practical, the button that we were looking at was pretty useless, but this is actually a really useful pattern that HTMX is possible, because if you have like some complicated controller with like one or two areas that are really expensive, you can move those areas to a separate, you can move those areas to a separate URL and then have the initial page respond immediately and then do those like expensive calculations while the user's still in a state that they can interact with your system.
Oh, I love it. So if they wanted to like click on something else or whatever, they're not like thinking the service is down, even though the expensive things.
Exactly.
Okay. This I love. This is like already it's valuable, but yeah, no, there's no but. That's awesome. So we have a simple controller. And we have another endpoint producing HTML, but most people aren't going to do this. They're not going to like render HTML on the server side here.
They'll probably use a template.
Yeah. So let me think about that. I can return a template here. I want to make this a little bit more typical. Greetings.html. And we'll just put exactly the same thing. Surely that'll work. Greetings. Nope, you need to spell for this to work. And I don't want the response body anymore. Does that work?
Very exciting.
It is. It is really. No, it didn't work. Why didn't that work? HTML. Oh no.
So do you have that media type thing? You gotta get rid of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how Spring works at all. I'm sorry, I'm useless.
It's all good, buddy. There we go. We fixed it. You're right. You guessed it. You got it. Okay, so that's already very, very useful. I don't love the 5 seconds though. Let's just say 3. I don't know, whatever, 2. Okay. Yeah.
And normally, like obviously, we wouldn't be putting thread.sleep in there. It'd be something like an expensive query or a call to a third party that was like a time slow or whatever it is.
Right.
So.
Yeah. We in the Java world don't understand what you mean by slow, but thank you. Thank you for that. I will imagine.
Have I been in the JavaScript world too long?
No, I kid. Hey, so that's super good. This is the official first paint. Like people used to talk about the time to first byte, which is a terrible, that's a back end centric metric, right? Really what people care about is time to first paint, which is how long until people can perceive that the app is, up and kicking. And you get this whole you get. Did I just? Oh yeah. You get this whole freaking. I want to say revolution, but it just feels like like a revolution in the actual sense of they made a circle.
Yeah.
We have this whole revolution around server-side rendering
Right.
of client-side state, and we end up back to PHP.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, I think, we kind of like especially early on, and this gets at what I was talking about earlier. Sorry. What I was talking about earlier with minification is I think a lot of the things that were really important like a decade ago have become less important over time. So like minification, I think is less important if you have good compression and caching. And for a lot of people, it's going to be unnoticeable if you run the unminified version of some JavaScript. Obviously, if you got 2 megs of JavaScript, that's a different story. But the idea with HTMX anyway is to avoid 2 megs of JavaScript. And I think similarly, people have because the way the web used to work, where you didn't have patterns like lazy loading like this, you were often pushed into very complicated solutions to make pages fast, or like switching to like, oh, we have to use JSON because we need the initial page to load quickly. Well, now you can have the initial page load quickly, but continue to use HTML. And not like you couldn't do that in the past, but that's HTML's vibe. That's what it's trying to do.
Right.
One of the advantages that you have if you use HTML from a speed perspective is that you're sending only the content that is needed for drawing the UI that you want.
Right.
And that's in contrast with JSON APIs, which can often be very chatty and send a lot of extraneous data that's not necessary for building the UI that you want in general. And there are tools to address that, like GraphQL and so forth, but those are complicated. And so HTML is a very simple way to send the absolute minimum necessary for a UI in one request. So it can be very, very efficient, very, very fast because
not to mention you sidestep having to. With JSON, you're sending. It's ridiculous. I can't believe we're saying this, but what you just said is you send HTML to avoid sending verbose JSON, which, I mean, I feel like that's pretty fair because you're right. We do things like GraphQL just to be able to find ways to trim the payload that we get back from JSON. But why? And also, once the JSON's arrived, you still don't have a DOM. You still have to process it and write code to do something.
Exactly. You're still doing a bunch of processing on the client side. So that's something. But also, and I really think like this is, it's easy for people. I see this sometimes when I'm talking about HTMX, people will be like, oh, HTML is so inefficient compared to JSON. And that's true, like in an optimal situation. But how often are you in an optimal situation? Like typically people don't build JSON APIs to support a user interface. They build a JSON API to be a general purpose data API. And so that general purpose data API might include a ton of crap you're not going to use in the UI. And so in practice, I think that HTML based responses can be, especially once you start using compression, if your system is using compression, it can be very competitive and many times better than in practice what JSON APIs end up doing. Not chatty, one request, that's the ideal is one request, one UI. And so that's the default. It makes it much easier to achieve that.
I love this. So, okay, we've got a page that's loading correctly and quickly and perceptively. That's the first. I mean, we got to start here. There's no question about that. But where I want to get to is the page is now rendered. We've got all the content we need, but the user has done the thing where they click on things, and we're not prepared for that. How does the page continue to be dynamic in the face of?
So let's go into that greetings template.
Yeah.
And instead of greetings here, let's do a list. We'll do something kind of cool. Just do a UL.
Okay, UL.
And just put like hello world. Put in like 20 of them.
Oh.
Yep. Okay. And let's see what this does real quick. Okay, cool. So here's what I want to do. So is there a way, and I think you were hinting at this, is there a way in TimeLeaf and Spring to say, I want to be able to render the inside or I want to be able to render the inside of a template, like a fragment of a template.
Yes, this is what I wanted to get to. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So let's do that.
So strictly speaking, it's a time leaf feature that
Okay.
we just happen to take advantage of. It's so let me see. Here's how you do that. You've got a fragment here, th fragment, and I guess you just give it that name.
Okay.
And so do I do that?
So let's call that, let's make that UL a fragment.
Is that right? Do I put that there? Well, so can I put the greetings? Let's get one controller here for a second. Is that workable with you?
Sure.
Yeah, I want to let's collapse it all back into one page here. So I'm gonna hide this for now. Get rid of that. Okay, so now on the server side, we only have hello.
Yep.
Is it what you're looking for? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So it's gonna return greetings. So there's no HTML. Oh,
whoops. I think it was the other template that had your stuff in it.
Wait, is that still fine? No, sad.
No, undo the delete. You deleted the template thing with all the stuff in it.
Oh yeah, okay. So I want to delete greetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, delete greetings.
Yeah, and then update your controller to.
Thank you. Hello, is it me you're looking for? Okay. No resource called hello.
You want hello, not hello.html. You've got hello.html in the URL for the browser.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
There we go.
There you go.
So now what? We want to do a fragment. This is called to-dos, surely.
Call it like hello list or something. I don't know.
List.
Okay.
Does that work?
So I don't know how this I'm flying blind here. I don't know how fragments work in time leaf.
It's okay. Me too. Okay. Fragment. Th fragment. To-dos form.
And then how do we render that fragment?
You and the good questions. Let's see. No, that's the old MCP stuff. Desktop.
I mean, it should be like template name # fragment. That would be ideal if that's what it is. That's what I would pick as the syntax.
But this one, okay, close that out. Source main resources. Does that work? I think that works. I think.
It looks like : maybe.
Yeah. To-dos form. Okay, so
so let's grab that, and let's create a new endpoint just to test it.
Yeah. So git mapping, hello list.
Yeah.
Return. And it's called hello. What do we call it? Hello list. That looks right.
Yeah. Let's test that URL now and see what we get back.
Okay.
Okay. Can you inspect that? Okay. So it includes the UL.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Which is fine. Okay. So now what we've got, and this is kind of cool. Like I've actually never used this before, but this is an idea called template fragments.
Yeah.
And the idea here is that instead of like dividing your templates, because with HTMX, you're often getting back partial bits of HTML. Like that's what you want. It's like, oh, I want to replace it with just like this little bit of HTML. And one downside of that is if you start decomposing your template, like you can end up with lots of like little templates, and it's hard to follow what the heck's going on, right?
Right.
And so that kind of stinks. You don't want that. And so what template fragments will let you do is they let you say, okay, here's a part of a bigger template, and I want to be able to just render just this part of it. And so then you can have sort of one template with all your code, and you can sort of see what the heck's going on in that one place. And you don't have to like bounce around between a bunch of different files. So super, super useful feature that there's an essay on template fragments on the HTMX website that you can read and see if the language you're using has it or not. Okay, so this is great. So now we're going to do something cool. You ready?
Can you make sure it says that Java has it? Because
Java has it.
Okay.
Yeah, Java has it. Java has it, and Timeleaf has it. So okay, so let's go back to our template.
Okay, the one and only.
And let's go down to the last LI.
Okay.
And I want you to put the following on it. So the following attributes: hx get and equals /hello list.
Okay.
And then hx trigger equals revealed.
Oh, cool.
Revealed ed, I think. And then we're going to have to do one other thing because it's returning the UL around it. We're going to use the hx select and then equals and then just do li. That's a CSS selector because we want to yoink out just the LIs and then do hx swap.
Outer HTML.
And that's going to be it's going to be after. And because what we want to do is we want to issue a request, get some more list items, and then append them to this thing when this thing is revealed. Okay.
Okay. So
now, I don't know if this. No. Yeah, leave it. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Just leave it. You'll see. It. It'll be cool. Trust me.
I'm so excited.
Okay. So now let's go back and look at that. Let's go back and look at that list. Did it work? HX trigger revealed, or is it reveal? It might be reveal. Hold on. This is bad. No, it's revealed. Okay.
All right. Hello list.
So
yeah, that's real.
Okay, show me the network because it should be issuing a request for that.
Oh,
Batch XHR. This isn't the view I'm used to. Click. Okay.
me either. Wait, this is hello. Oh, son of a motherless.
Oh, you're on hello. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
What is it doing?
Ha! It's an infinite list of hello worlds.
That's
because whenever you get to the bottom, it issues a new request and pulls down a bunch of new items. So this is an infinite list of hello worlds.
We can do fractals.
Yeah. No.
Network fractals.
So okay. Admittedly, an infinite list of hello worlds is not super interesting, but this is the pattern for implementing infinite scroll in HTMX, right?
Yeah.
So if you were producing a list of to-dos or, elements like items in a whatever, right? Like then this would allow you, that's going to issue a bunch of requests.
How many did it issue?
Well, because now you've only got one hello world. So it's going to issue one and then issue one again and again. So it's going to build up that first one until it scrolls off.
Oh.
So that's why you want to have, so like typically you bring down like 20 items at a time or something like that, right?
Oh, is it? Oh, wow. Okay. I've got debug turned on here so that I can see the Spring MVC server side stuff. So if we get rid of that, it goes down to, there we go. Now refresh. There, you can see all the hellos without the.
And if you go over and you scroll down on the web page, it's going to issue a bunch more until it catches up and one is off the page. So not recommended, but this in general, like, so typically like when you have infinite scroll, you'll have something like 10 at a time or maybe 20 at a time. Right. So if you have like, for example, a list of employees, right? And you want to implement infinite scroll using this pattern, get, trigger, you probably wouldn't need to use select. We're using it because of the way the template fragments work. And then HX swap, you could swap in new elements and implement infinite scroll with 3 or 4 attributes, which is pretty sweet. And it's all done in terms of HTML. So this is an example. And then the thing to note here is that content is being loaded in and processed. And so like when new content comes in with these HX attributes, it's going to be live as well. And so that's what you're seeing. That's why it keeps issuing these requests as you scroll down and reveal the last element in the list.
Right. Okay. So I wonder if I could, if I had a.
Look at you using an atomic integer.
Well, I just want to like increment concurrently, and I don't
Sure.
want to bother. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and if you go over and you scroll down, you'll see a bunch more. Yep. Now, again, here, this is like not recommended because you're going to issue requests every single time someone reveals a new list item. So typically what you do is you return like 10 or 20 or 50. And
Right.
then, so you would have one request for every 50 items rather than one request for every item like you've got here. So,
which actually brings us to a good point. Since this is Spring MVC, I could just create a model attribute and then enumerate that in the fragment that gets returned.
Yeah.
But how would I know where the offset is? I guess I'd have to keep that in the server side. Like, how would I know how many?
No, what you could do is you could encode. Let's go back.
Yeah.
To the split. So right there in hello list, you could do afterwards question mark in the HX get. No, sorry. Not
Okay.
yeah, down in HX get. Do question mark and then do like count equals and then whatever the max count is for the current page. So it starts at the next page. Right?
Okay. So it'll send.
Yeah, and so this would, instead of being hard coded at 10, this would be a variable that's like what's the last thing that basically, like, typically you might do like IDs or count or something like that.
Right,
and this, rather than being hard coded, you would say like, here's the start of the next list of things I want. Does that make sense?
Will this attribute itself get re-rendered? Like, how would I re-render the LI to have an updated offset?
Well, every time. So if you do question mark offset equals,
yeah,
there the offset would need to be a variable. It would need to be $, like, count plus 10 or whatever, like whatever.
Yeah.
And so every time you come into this page, you would have the offset of the current page or the current list of items that we're rendering. And then what's the offset of the next, say 10, let's say, right? And so this expression might be offset plus 10, for example.
So does that work?
Well, you're gonna have to start passing in an offset and like however you get it out of the. Well, but that's how you do it. Yeah, you can if you go look at the infinite scroll example on HTMX, you can see it. We do it there. Yeah. So if you click there and you scroll down, click on open up show. Whoops. See how there's like a page and the page keeps incrementing. It starts on page 2 and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when you render it, you're on page 8. And so the link that you render in that page is to page 9. And when you're on page 9, the link is just whatever the current page is plus 1. That's like the basic idea.
So this is replacing itself then?
No, it's not, because it's using an after end. It's taking that content and putting it after it. So below it in this case.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Good stuff. Now, so where this has been supported in Spring for like ever, right? This kind of stuff. Right. The new hotness is we just added the ability to render multiple fragments at the same time, so that I can update.
Boy, out of band swaps, huh?
Yeah, fancy.
Okay. Yeah.
So how would I set that up on the HTMX side? I guess.
HTMX has something called out of band swaps. And I'm gonna have to look. I don't use them. It's funny. Like, a lot of people love them, and I don't use them that much, but it's cool. Basically, you can put an out of band. You can in some content, you can say, I want this to swap out of band. So let's go. We've got hello here. Let's. I want to kind of simplify this because infinite scroll gets a little crazy.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's take this. Let's go back to like a button.
Okay.
Let's just go back to a button.
Okay.
And click me, and then have it issue a request to that, maybe to that list thing. Hello list, and then have that. Oh, you know what? We got rid of the list because it was there. So let's change this maybe back to hello world. I don't know. What do we want to do here?
Change this. Actually, I've confused myself. What are we looking at here?
Yeah.
We've got a page which has fragments. So when we load /hello, we want to load the whole page. But then when somebody clicks on the button, we want to load a fragment, right? So
yeah.
And that's,
so I think we could go back to like hello world for this thing. That's fine. Yeah.
You mean just a literal text? Okay.
We can use it. Let's use a template because it'll be interesting.
So hello world.
Yeah.
String hello world HTML, return hello world? No. That's a new fragment, hello world.html.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we don't want fragment syntax.
Yeah, just hello world. So let's see what that does. Just test it, see if it works.
Okay, seems fine.
Cool. What is does the button hook up to it properly?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So now let's in the hello template. So hello.html.
Hello.html. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's add an H1.
H1.
With an ID title. And let's do like the great web page.
Oh,
breaking news. That's fine. Whatever you want. Cool. Okay. So great. So what we have here is a situation where when we click this button, we also want to update breaking news. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what we need to do to make that work is return a new fragment of H1 ID title with like different content, and then put on the response in that content, it needs to say HX OOB swap, or no, HX swap OOB equals true. And what'll happen is even though that HTML content comes back with the button being the target, it'll recognize, oh, this is out of band content. It goes somewhere else. Namely, it goes up and replaces this thing with the ID title. Okay. And so I think that's what you're getting at, is like the ability to include two pieces of content in the same response. So now I'm going to turn it over to you to show me how that works.
Yeah, let's set it up here on the server side. So we've got two fragments that are going to get rendered. Is that true? That feels like it's true. Hello world and the title. Is that the idea?
Yeah. So I think we want a new template called like title.html.
Yeah. Or some. Well, yes. Yeah. Let's just try. Can we do that with a brand new template? I think we can. Let's try that first. I think most of the time you'd have a fragment, right? Like you'd have a. I just tell it. I'd point it to the same template.
Sure.
Colon. But for now, updated title. And then.
Do you want to try that?
Yeah.
Do you want to do that? Let's do the fragment.
Well, let me try the hard one. Let me try the easy one first. What you were just setting up. Okay. Title. Because you're right. This should work first, right?
Sure.
So, wait. No, I don't need to do that. I've got the view called title. So what I want to prove is that I can get one endpoint and get both DOM fragments back, right? Both title and hello world. Is that fair?
Yeah. Right here in this this controller on line 23, we want to return both of them.
Okay. So greeting, hello world returns greeting. And we've got that.
So how do you render two things
from hello world, right? Okay. So hello world. What does that return right now? Okay, that returns one thing. And now you do a collection of model and view.
Okay.
Var list equals list.of, I think, new model and view. View name is greeting. And New model and view. And what was the other one called? It's called hello, I guess.
I don't remember. Can you bring up the?
Yeah, I've lost it. I've confused myself. Let me see. So if I go here, what does that buy me? So it gave me two models.
Yeah, no, you don't want hello. You want whatever that other.
Hello. Wait, a greeting. Surely.
Title.
Title. Thank you, sir.
Title.
Hello world and updated title. Okay, so that's working, but there's no DOM. There's no HTML.
Okay, so let's go. Yeah, so go to title real quick.
Title.
And instead of just updated title, put in an H1 tag.
Okay.
And do as an attribute, do ID equals title. So it lines up with that original content, and then do HX OOB swap
dash swap like that.
I'm sorry, HX swap dash OOB. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't use this feature a ton. No. Inside, or it's an attribute name. HX dash swap dash OOB equals true.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now hit refresh here. Cool. So we're getting the HTML. So what this is the content that we want to go into the button, the hello world, and then also this other content that's out of band that's somewhere else on the page that we also want to update.
Right.
And so if we hit refresh.
Well,
here.
Hello. Oh, wait.
I think you have to go back to hello.
Hello. I got to tell you, I'm confused. I've confused myself. Okay, breaking news. Did that work? We don't know if it worked.
Yeah. So now, if you click that button and if everything works properly.
But it's going to call hello world.
It's going to call hello world. And the normal content, the hello world, replaced the button. But this other content wrote along. And then was like, oh, but you're not for the button. You're for this other thing.
Oh my goodness! Oh, so it even knew. Like I didn't even give the main fragment. I didn't have to do any DOM lineups or anything. Well,
I don't think we're using that fragment. I think we're using the greeting fragment. That's my guess.
Yeah, this one right here, right? The greeting fragment has no DOM. It just has plain text.
No, I think hello HTML is like out of the picture now. I believe so.
Right. I'm looking at greeting.html.
Yeah. What I'm saying is I don't think any of the controllers we're using use that.
Oh, greeting.html is gone?
Yeah, I don't think that's being used. I think it's all on hello and title. Is it?
No, wait. Maybe. Okay, let's just try it. You're right.
Oh, no. Because you're using I'm sorry, you're using the feature in Spring where you're combining those two together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Because you're using a combined. Yeah, exactly. It's all in that hidden code. It's right there. You're combining greeting and title together. Right?
Yeah.
And so the greeting part is the hello world chunk. And then the title is this out of band content. It's this content that is sort of riding along for the, it's coming along for the ride, but it's updating a different part of the DOM.
Hello list isn't being used though, right? We can get rid of that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So everything's still fine.
Yeah.
Happy. Good. Click on that. Fine. Okay. Whew. Crisis averted.
Don't
worry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're good. So now let's get even fancier.
Yeah.
And let's take that title. So go back and delete go back to the where all the template files are.
Okay. Templates. Yeah, here.
And let's copy that. And then delete title.html. Trust me on this.
We hardly knew yet.
And go to hello.html and like paste it in there. Okay. And now make this a fragment. A timely fragment.
Oh, I see. Okay. So th fragment equals title fragment, maybe something like that.
Yeah. And then get rid of the one above it so it stops complaining about the duplicate IDs. Yeah. Okay, that all looks good to me. Now let's do the hold on before we do, let's make the title instead of updated title. Let's do you clicked, and then we'll have an atomic counter that prints how many times they've clicked the button.
Okay. So th text equals
And then
counter.
like count. Yeah. Or
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. So you click that, and then I'm going to return a count whenever the hello template is loaded, or whenever.
Just anytime any request is made, let's increment that atomic counter and render it. So let's go.
Okay. Well, okay. So final atomic integer counter. Okay. I gotta just good. And then down here, I've lost the plot here.
In both of them, let's
Okay.
increment the counter. Yep.
Okay.
And do the same thing up here. Yep. And then rather than title there, we need to render the hello : whatever.
Okay. In hello though. Hello title fragment. Okay, so
yeah.
Hello. Nope.
I think it's : .
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm scared. You ready?
Yeah, I'm scared too. Nothing's happening. Why is nothing? It didn't render anything at the start though. How come it didn't render hello at the start? Or it didn't render you clicked once?
Oh, there. Okay.
How come it's not doing the right thing? Can we see the response?
It is doing the right. It's definitely calling the thing. Look, see if I hit that, hit refresh, it's obviously updated the server side state.
Yeah. How come it's not? Can you show me the response? I feel like go to just / hello world and let's look at what's the. It's not in there. Why isn't it in there?
Okay. We can figure this out. So hello, th fragment. Oh, I've got the.
Whoops. Perfect. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now go back. And so like we're updating the button, but then we're also having this H1 sort of like hitchhike along with the request and update this other place in the DOM. And that's called an out of band swap. And so my understanding is that Spring has added this ability to render more than one piece of content so that you can take fragments and like stream them down and update another place in the DOM like this. And so you can see it's pretty tight, right? Pretty small amount of code.
Pretty neat.
Pretty good. And you're able to update more than one place on the screen. Now, I don't think you should go crazy with out of band swaps, but for something like this, like, if the button was at the bottom and there was a table and then some other piece of content, you didn't want to replace everything because maybe there's a video playing in the middle,
right?
Or something like that. You can use out of band swaps like this to update more than one place. So that's the big idea. And it looks like Spring makes it pretty easy to do that. So we're seeing a lot of cool technology in Spring here, right? We're seeing template fragments.
Can this work?
Fragments. We're seeing the ability to render more than one template into a response. So it's all good stuff.
It's
HTMX.
like we're in the future.
It's like we're in the future.
Let me see if this. I don't know if this is. I'm just guessing. I have no idea if this works.
There's no way it works.
It does.
Well, click me. Let's not get too excited.
Oh no.
That would be sick. That should work. Sure. You guys make that work. That's really cool.
Oh wait, error code 500 from Hello World.
Yeah, see what the editor's saying. What's the editor saying? Yeah, it doesn't know. I bet it doesn't know how to just do strings, but that would be cool. You guys should make that work. That'd be really cool if that worked.
Yeah, template. Oh well.
Yeah,
fine. It's all I did was get rid of the wrapper. It's fine. I don't care.
Yeah,
I won't cry. Let me see. Spring. Well, first of all, is that working again? Yeah, it's fine. So Spring Framework 6.2 HTMX enjoyers. Let's see. Here we go. Sir, sir, did we mention? Yes. Fragment rendering.
That is what we've been messing with.
Can we do it? Okay, so you can return a collection of model and view, which we just looked at. And there's this other syntax that I don't quite get for fragment rendering. Basically, each one of these is a distinct view, even though it's got this asymmetrical sort of name there.
Okay.
So fragment, it would be posts and comments. I guess that would be. We could try that. And then what is this? What about service and events? What is
I don't want to do server side events.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. Server side events are super useful. Like when you've got something that needs to be dynamically updated, like a news ticker or something like that. If you can't use polling, for example, you want something a little more efficient than that, you can use server side events. But
that's so good though. That's so good. Okay, so we got support for that. I think of all the syntaxes, this is my favorite.
Yeah,
it works. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's good. And you can, I think that plus the template fragments, right, in TimeLife, like those two combined together, you can do some really cool stuff. And this is something like out of band swaps, and just in general, like one thing that people run into when they first come into HTMX is since they're not really like, they don't think in HTMX like, okay, I just need to replace stuff on the screen. Right. Like they can get kind of bogged down and like, oh, this is like, I've got to do all this crazy stuff. And really, like most interactions, you typically want to replace one thing, but maybe two things. And you can do that. And as you can see, you can do it pretty easily in Spring, and you can get away with you can build some pretty sophisticated stuff just with really straightforward HTML templates. Like TimeLife is a sophisticated templating system, but you can really get a lot done with just this, a little bit of juice here. So
I'm a big fan. Let me see if I can. If I go back here, it's 2025, so I'm not legally allowed to do a live stream without some AI in it. Let me see. Okay. Here. Just open AI. Boy, oh boy, come on. Add that. Where's my thing? Here we go. And then this goofy thing over here, dependency management. It's not yet DA. Build. Was that in the build? Yeah, dependency management. And then finally, I need this property over here, which was son of a motherless goat. Here we go, 105. Okay.
What are we doing?
I'm gonna have this thing tell me something useful. So let me see. Git mapping joke, string joke, model. And I can return joke model.add attribute. And if I add this chat client here, AI, if I reload this thing, does that work? There we go. There. I just wanna, So now, joke, chat client, AI dot prompt, tell me a HTML joke. Okay, that'll call content. Good. So now if I want to click on this button over here, and I want to have it replace an element with a joke.
Make it an output.
Thank you. Okay. And I say HX swap, something like that.
Well, HX target. You want to change the target.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Like that.
Yep.
Does that work? Let me see. I've lost the plot here. Let's see. Come on. Localhost 8080 / hello. What do we call this endpoint? Oh, I have to restart this thing because I had changed the class path.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Do I not have the OpenAI environment variable there? Echo open.
Oh.
I should. Oh, yeah, I should. Spring AI, OpenAI, API key. What's the issue? Whatever. Okay. The point is that's all I would have needed to do if I had this configured correctly. Why didn't that work though? Oh, I know why it didn't work, man. Here, bean chat client.builder, return. Okay. Hello. Hello? Oh, I didn't run it. There you go. Tell me a joke. Did it work?
You want to put an indicator in that button?
Yeah. Oh, I don't have an HTML page for joke. I can just return the actual HTML though, right? Surely.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh wait, it's gonna update the attribute.
You don't need a model here. You can just return the joke.
Right.
It's text.
Thank you, sir. Hey, sure. Here's an HTML joke for you. Why was the web developer always calm? Because they knew how to handle. Whatever.
Some kind of tag.
Sure.
What's interesting here about this whole thing is that, and this is an example that I often give to people, is like your UI is not super sophisticated, right? It's just a button getting a joke. Right. But what's going on behind the scenes is very sophisticated. And there's a lot of web applications, especially web applications that are written in Java, that are like this, where the UI that's necessary to drive it is not where the value is. Like an application like Figma, for example, right. The value is in many ways in the UI. Like a big part of the value is in the UI and being like fancy with drag and drop and all this stuff. But a lot of applications, the value is actually in the network or on the server. And like all the business logic that's on the server, that's where the main value is. And so in those applications, if you use HTMX, you make your front end dramatically simpler. And so you can save that complexity because your system can only take so much complexity. Right. You can save that complexity and use it in the back end. And so here's an example where, like, obviously OpenAI, very sophisticated technology that's going on the back end. But your front end just needs to be a button or maybe a text input that like talks to it or whatever. Yep. And so for a lot of these like AI tools, like the interface is kind of a chat client, which at the end of the day is just a text input and then some text response, and that's it. Yeah. So it's not a super sophisticated. There's still a lot of value in it. It's still a very sophisticated piece of software. But the UI can be expressed in pure HTML terms very easily, particularly with HTMX. And then you can save that if it's your project, you can save that complexity and use it on the back end rather than dumping like a huge amount of complexity into the front end. So just an observation.
If this was like a tag team, which is also pretty amazing if you consider that it is a team around HTML tags. But if this was a tag team, could we say that Spring and HTMX reduce both time to first paint and first prototype?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Okay. End straight.
Right? Yeah, no, and that's, I think, like you can see, like, what you don't have a ton of code there, and we've done some pretty sophisticated things, right? We did lazy loading, we did infinite scroll, and now we're integrating like AI chat or whatever. And plus we're doing out of band swap. So I've seen a lot of stuff a lot of things that could, let you do some pretty sophisticated user interfaces just with, Spring Boot and HTMX.
I love it. And by the way,
you don't have to learn a bunch of JavaScript to make this all work.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned, so you talked about lack of minification. The stuff you're saying is stuff that you can afford to think about, like lack of minification and all that, if you don't have a crazy build pipeline for every little change to your code. And you don't have that with HTMX because you don't need it. So It feels nice, actually.
Yeah. You take all that out, there's no delay. There's no like ka-chunk. You just change the HTML and refresh and it's all good. It's the way
Live
it's
reloading.
supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me what I mean? You mentioned the URL, the views, right? We should change the maybe make it so that we can actually just return a string or something. I'm not sure why that doesn't work, but otherwise, how do you feel? Like, do you feel like people using this are just as productive as they would be anywhere else from what you've seen?
Yeah. No, this looks great. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like we're in a good place. I'm a big fan. This stuff is like really good. Also, guess what? I don't have to worry about client-side tokens and auth and I mean, just all that goes on.
You do all the auth on them. Everything is like okay. Admittedly, there's some you have to understand templating and a little bit a few attributes in HTMX, but for the most part, everything's done on the back end. And so in whatever language you like, and if you're a Java Spring person, then it looks like they've got some really good tools for HTMX in it right now.
Or even Kotlin in Spring, which is great too.
Kotlin, whatever, man. So if it produces HTML, that's all HTMX cares about.
It's so good. What else do you think we should tell the fine folks before we call it good? I feel like we got something useful. Is there like another step after this that's like one more thing?
No, we could do active search. What time is it? I got to get out of here.
What is it? Search quickly.
Active search. If you go and you look at the HTMX website under examples, this is the one that I'd probably do next, which is an input. And as you type, it issues a query to the server side and takes the results and like swaps them in. So if you go down, like just go down a little bit, there's an example. So type like A and then E really slowly and then S, right? And this is all done. So this is what's called active search, where like as you're typing, it's issuing requests. And so if we had more time, I'd probably do this example with you because it's a very cool example. But it's basically, it's 4 attributes. So you're doing a post, or it should be a get, but whatever. So we're doing a get, or we're issuing a request to search. We're filtering down some data set on the server side, and then we're returning the table result for that. And you can see what we do is we do that on key up.
Right.
On changed. Sorry. Let's go back. The input event is the one, the big one. So if you look, that's input, and that happens every time someone changes the value. But we put a delay on it. So there's a delay. And so what that says, that debounces it so that like if someone's typing really quickly, it doesn't issue like a bunch of requests. It just waits until they're sort of done typing. If they haven't typed for 500 milliseconds, then it issues the request.
Debouncing is not fun to write code, and you trivialize it with this. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's debouncing sucks, and so HTMX does that internally. So it's kind of a nice feature. Yeah, so pretty sweet.
Okay, Carson, thanks, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Had a good time.
Likewise, I learned a lot, and I'm sure the audience did as well. Well, maybe not. Maybe they knew all this stuff, but I learned a lot. So
cool.
Thanks, dude.
All right. Yep. See you on Twitter.
Yep. Bye.
Cheers.